Hey guys, what's up? This is Dr. Phunk. What I'm gonna do today is I'm gonna show you how I made Run Wild, the remix, obviously, the remix for Hartwell and Jay Grease. First of all, I'm a 27-year-old producer from Holland. And normally, I'm in the hardstyle scene. I like to call it freestyle as well because the thing is, I like to combine a lot of different genres and put them all together in like a production or a DJ mix or whatsoever, you know. So I wouldn't really define myself as a hardstyle artist since I do like a lot of different stuff, but it's one of my main genres that I like to create. So so that's what's up. So I'm gonna show you guys how I made it. Just gonna make sure everything's ready. Hold on. Let's see. So first of all, I want to thank everyone for the massive support on all the remixes. To be honest, I didn't expect it at all to have such a big impact, but I'm really blessed that everybody likes it. So I'm really happy with that. So thanks a lot for that. It's really heartwarming to see how much you guys love it. So all right. So the thing is, Run Wild. The reason that I did this remix was first of all, Robert asked me to make a remix of Apollo, which actually started out as a joke, you know, because he was like, okay, I need a hardstyle remix of Apollo to close my sets, but he wanted an up-to-date version. So there are some other guys who remixed it like in the past, but he wanted a new version to close down his sets with. So when I made that, and the impact was huge, like seriously huge, so I started messing around with Run Wild, just for fun. I had the acapella on my computer, so I dragged it in my project, and I just started to build something. So I sent a voice clip to Robert about, hey, what do you think about this? You know, do you like it? And he was like, dude, I love it. So that's how I ended up making 3 remixes instead of 1. So by the way, this is the track for the ones who don't know it. This is the one I'm talking about. Let's see what we got. Thanks, Preston. I guess you all heard it, right? So I really love the vocal. This one, I have to give Jay Grease a lot of credits for the vocals. They're great, sound really good. What I wanted to do was is I wanted to create a different vibe than the original was. You know, like the original was quite like a danceable track, and I just wanted to give my own twist to it. You know, just to show how I would approach the track. So and I must say I'm pretty happy with it. It used to be I wanted to make it a little bit longer, but in the end, I mean the full track I believe is like 3.5 minutes if I'm correct. Yeah, but that's probably the big difference. Like back in the day, tracks had a really long intro to mix. So that's why the tracks were longer, and nowadays it's just a short track. Let's see. Hey guys, welcome. You're very welcome, guys. It was an honor to do. And like I said, I'm really happy you guys love it. So, what I'm gonna do right now is I'm gonna hold on the camera, put it onto my screen. I had to improvise a little bit to show you guys my screen, but I hope it works. So this is my project. First of all, most of the times you see like these really well cleaned up projects. This actually describes how I am as a person. I can be a little bit chaotic, but yeah, you know, for me this works. You know, like even though like if someone else would take a look at this project, they would be like, dude, where the hell is everything and what is what, you know? But since yeah, I'm the only one that actually is in the project, I just keep it like this. So it's probably a thing to improve for the next year. No, but so okay, let's see. Yeah, obviously I started with the vocals by Jake Reese. Hold on, let me see what I did with it. So I'm gonna play it solo.
Remember how we used to be free. Listen to nothing but our feelings. Walk to the sound of our own drums beating. Oh, we locked us in.
So yeah, what I actually did was I copied the original vocal and I put an extra layer underneath, and I pitched down the whole vocal. So if I solo this one, hold on, it's. So yeah, it's like really soft in volume, but it just gives that little extra beef you want to have, you know, for the whole vocal. As effects that I use on the vocals, it's not that much. Just use a simple EQ, a Fat Filter Pro EQ. Yeah, either you have one or two. I made this one with Pro Q1. So it's just a low cut around 170 hertz and a little bit I added like 2 dBs of high frequencies to make it a little bit more sparkly. There's a compressor on it. Some people ask me, why don't you use like the really high-end plugins? I do. I use some high-end plugins, but that's the fun thing. I've started in FL with producing, so basically I learned how to make a specific sounds and everything with the basic Fruity plugin. So that's, yeah, I personally love this compressor, even though it's like a inside DAW plugin. So put a little bit of de-essing on it to get you know, like a lot of vocals have like the typical S kind of sound, and I wanted to decrease that a little, so I put that one on. And once again, like just a real small reverb. As you can see, I'm using the Fruity Loops reverb as well. Yeah, does the trick for the thing that I wanted. So yeah, then we come to the melody. The thing is, what I mostly do is when I'm producing is I just put the vocal, especially for remixes, I just put the vocal there in the project, and then I start to find out what the bass line is. I mean, there are some songs that you can actually like hear it straight away because it's that obvious. But what I like to do, and here comes the trick, I like to get rid of the original chords, the original bass line, the original everything, and I just like to create my own thing with it. So that's what I did. So basically I started with a bass line that is, wait, hold on, let me play it. So I used a silent one for this, and the sound that you're hearing at the moment is actually a hyper saw, but in cutoff. So why did I chose for this one instead of just using a sub bass, like a sine wave sub bass, is that in my opinion, when you use like synths and use the natural low end of the synths, it sounds more natural to me. you know, like not that static. And that's what I wanted to create, you know. I want it to be a little bit floating instead of like straight to the point. So that's why I chose for this bass line. Second step, once I found out what the bass line was, I always have like this habit of starting with this little plucky thingy. Once again, silent. So nothing too fancy. Once again, it's a lead, just a hypersaw lead that I put in the cutoff, so you get like the nice plucky sound. For most of my productions, I actually use hardware. I got Virus TI by Axis, where I'm really happy that I have it, because to me it's like one of the most needed things to have in the studio, especially because in hardstyle you're working with really big detuned leads, you know. So, and what you want it to do is like you want to make it sound massive. I mean, you could obviously make it sound massive with just like a VST plugin by putting on effects, but the thing that the Virus has is that once the synth comes out after you created your own lead sound, it sounds massive. And yeah, that's what I always use my Virus to give like my main leads, my chords, some extra beef. So that's what I also did in the other two, but I didn't use it in this one because I wanted to make it a little bit more breathable instead of like the heavy hardstyle kind of thing. Let's see what else we got. So then probably the main melody. Here it is. So what I mostly do when I create a melody is I always start with the chords, you know, like for me the chords are really important. I like to make melodies that actually have chords. I don't like to stand alone, because if I play this, for example, without the chords, it sounds fun, you know, it sounds pretty cool, but I wanted to add chords to make it a little bit bigger. So by the way, all these leads are made in Silent. I think Silent 1 is the most used plugin that I have, the plugin that I used most in the project, sorry. So these are the chords. Hold on, they're in the filter. Let me just... So, I always like the 3-note chords. There are a lot of producers who just use 2 chords or 2 notes in a chord. Most of the times I just take 3 because it gives like a little bit of extra fatness. So yeah, what I mostly do as well is, as you can see in here, yeah, most of the times it's all about layering synths. And a friend of mine that actually was already producing when I started, he taught me that the best thing you can do is you have like one layer of leads that plays like the lower part. You got one that plays the middle part, and then you got the higher ones to fill up the whole audio spectrum and give it a little bit of fatness. So if I play everything together, it sounds like this. All right, so then we go to the effects that I used on the leads, which aren't that much, only two. I'm a huge fan of this one. It's FabFilter Simplon. It's really great for like low pass filters, high pass filters. So yeah, I use it a lot, you know, especially to make the melody disappear. I mean, you still want to hear it, but you want to hear it in like in the cutoff. So right now you only feel and hear the warmth of the lead, which is, in my opinion, a really cool thing to do, even though it's pretty simple. Right, so I put on an EQ. Yeah, some people say you shouldn't cut the leads that much, but the thing is with hardstyle, what I experienced because of the kick drums, they fill in so many frequencies on the spectrum. So that's why I always try to cut off as much low end from my lead as possible, because in that way you're sure that the kick and the leads are not going to interfere. So then the other thing, which is probably one of the biggest differences between hardstyle and EDM, is that the hardstyle guys, we use a ton of reverb. So this is my favorite reverb plugin, Valhalla. It's a really cool plugin. Of course, you have a lot of good reverbs that you can use. It all depends on personal taste or flavor or whatever you like to. For me, this one does the trick. So yeah, as you can see, it's pretty open. So I have like a 7.5 second 6.65 DK. My mix isn't up that much, only 24%, because if I would even increase it, it sounds like a big I don't know, like wind. So I wanted to give it a ton of reverb, but still like in your face, because the more reverb you put on a sound, the more the sound will disappear in the background of your mix. So that's why I kept it that way. So let's see. All right, these are the reverbs on the chords. I think I used pretty much the same setting for the other ones, the top leads. Let me see. Yep. All right, so yeah, for the top leads, I used the same reverb, but I just adjusted it a little bit. So I gave it like 3% more mix. I changed the high cut, the frequencies a little bit more. And EQ wise, I didn't add any high end on these leads because they're quite high, like the notes are quite high, so I just decided to keep them as they are, just cut off some low end. So let's see, what else we got. Oh yeah, this is probably the hardest part of well, a lot of artists say that this is the hardest part of making hardstyle, the kicks. So yeah, this is the kick that I actually used for this song. Hold on, let me just... Oh, my bad. There's still reverb on the kick. Let me see, where did I... Alright, so I'm just gonna mute this one. So yeah, that's the kick that I used. Also in hardstyle, we like to play with the kicks. You know, like the kick drum actually follows the bass line of the melody. So that's why you have like the bass drum going up and down and everything. It's pretty cool. So what did I put on this one? Let's see, a compression, a tuner. personally, what I would advise to every producer that is not really into like hearing specific tones is get yourself a tuning plugin. It's like great, you know, like you press a key and it shows the key of the sample. So I think it's really handy, you know, to use. Yeah, as you already heard, I put a reverb on the kick, especially for when we get into the break. I always want the kick to have like a little bit of echo, you know, like a little bit of reverb, so it sounds massive, like a Hall kick, FX kick, you know. So yeah, that's what I used on those. Besides that, oh yeah, obviously EQ. I boosted the low end a little bit. Boosted this one around 145 hertz and a little peak at 310, 11. And I also added a little bit of high end because I wanted the tail of the kick to stand out a little bit more. The tuning plugin that I'm using, by the way, I see the question. Yeah, it's G-Tune. There are some people who are really there, like really fast when it comes to responding. Let's see. Yeah, what else did I use? Oh yeah, probably the screeches. So, surprisingly, I used silent again. That's why I love this plugin, because it's so multifunctional. You can do a lot of stuff with it. So, next to, probably, together with the Virus and Serum, this is probably like in my top 3 of things that I like to use to create my sounds. So, this is the screechy sound. Wait, let me mute all the effects. This one too then. So, this is what it sounds like on its own. It's pretty dry, right? Sounds like a, I don't know, like somebody is screaming, like really, really loud. So yeah. That's the sound that I use for like the first drop, and then it builds up and goes straightly into the melody part. I wanted to do like a second break, like a full break, but the thing is, Hartwell played it at his final I Am Hartwell show, and he told me that like the length of the track as it was like perfect, you know, because it's like a constant party vibe without using a lot of breaks and stuff. Wait, oh yeah, I see a question from Curtis. I hardly use reverbs from a plugin, especially for example, I use silent a lot. I hate the reverb that is like integrated into silent. It sounds too I don't know, it doesn't sound natural to me, you know? Yeah, so I personally don't like it. So I prefer to get rid of the delay and get rid of the reverb in the plugin, and just add your own reverbs and delays. Especially if you have like the better plugins, you get like a really nice reverb and delay, which is in hardstyle it's pretty important to have your delays and reverbs done well. Alrighty, let's see what else do we got. I think that's about it, right? See, that's the way that I like to make music. There are some people who like to put a lot of elements in a track, you know, like, and I'm more the guy that I'd rather have a few really good elements instead of a lot of elements that are like unnecessary, you know? And the thing is, I wanted to make it as a party track, you know? Just turn off your mind and party to it. So that's why I decided to keep it simple. Yeah, what else did I use? Yeah, you know, some basic stuff, you know, like some exhaust kind of things, some uplifting stuff. When you buy sample packs, there's a lot of this stuff in there. So if you wanna, like me personally, I always think that it's a good investment to invest in plugins, sounds, samples, because especially for a lot of people, it's hard to make your own sounds from scratch. You know, when you're just starting. So if you're like thinking about going going to do music, if you want to produce yourself, I just recommend you to buy some good plugins. Why should you buy them? Because a lot of them are like available through the internet. Well, I like to buy everything that I like because you know that it works. You know, there's not going to be any issues, any problems. Besides that, it's respect to the creators of the sounds of the plugins. Yeah, so that's like a tip that I would give to all beginning producers. So as you guys kind of seen, it's pretty basic actually. It's nothing much. Some automations, you know, like to for example, like when you automate the cutoff, it goes open whenever you want to, and it closes whenever you want to. But instead of twisting the knob, it goes automatically. That's why it's called automations. Let's see if there are any questions. Stefan asks, where were you when Hartwell premiered this track in Hockenheim? I was at home actually. I was considering going to the event, but it's quite a drive, and I had some other stuff to do. So, but luckily he shared. Robert told me how the track went. Any sample pack that I made? No, I didn't make any sample pack. Most of the sounds that I use are created by myself. The thing is, once you put in time to create your own good sounds, it's easy to reuse those sounds, but by adjusting them. So, for example, with kicks, if you have a really good kick that sounds good, then just use it again, but make it slightly different, you know? So it sounds like a different kick, but because a kick takes a lot of time, and also when it comes to like sound design and everything, plus it's really hard. Like if you don't know what you're doing, you're not gonna get a fat sound. It's the same thing when there's a lot of guys who buy a Virus TI or a Virus Snow, and they think that the moment they bought it, they can make like the real big leads as all the guys do. So yeah, that's not true. I mean, if you don't know what you're doing, you can buy as much hardware as you want, as much plugins as you want, but you're not gonna be able to do something with it besides loading in presets that you can find on the internet or something. So yeah, let's see what else. When it comes to sidechaining, I know there are a lot of guys who work with the compression thing, you know, like the duck and kick. I'm really thankful to Nicky Romero for like inventing the Kickstart plugin. Let's see if I use it on one of the. I'm not sure though if I use it in this one. Yeah, I did. For sidechaining, I just use this one. Shoot me. I don't know why. Works for me. Does the trick. I mean, I could also do it with a ducking kick, but it takes a lot more time, and I like to save time by using plugins like this. So let's see. Do you clip your master? If I go to my master channel, there's actually this is my master. It's on -6 because for the mastering. The only thing that have on my master which is not really a thing that does something to the master. It's just I use a spectrum analyzer. So wait, let me see if I can flip the screen. I got like a second screen over there. What it does normally. So it shows me all the frequencies, and that's the only thing I got on the master, but I can throw that on every channel, so my master channel is clean. That's the way I like to do it, because I used to work with isotope a lot on the master, but I always found out that the moment I took it off for like the final mastering, my tracks started to sound different, you know. So I like to keep the master as clean as possible, so at least then I know that the track actually sounds as I made it, you know. It's not that when I muted the isotope, the whole power of my track just collapsed, you know. So that's why I like to keep my master clean. So yeah. So this is basically how I made Run Wild. Like I said, it's nothing that special. Yeah, it does the trick, you know, and to me that's what music is about. I always say that you can put a lot of stuff into your production, and of course, you know, you're gonna get props from your fellow producers. You know, you mean like they're gonna say, hey, the track is like all really awesome effects and everything, but me personally, no offense, but there are a lot of people in the world that don't hear all the special stuff that you're doing. So that's why, in my opinion, it's not always necessary. Alrighty. Yeah, I think that's about it. There are like some small things that I used. Since the track is called Run Wild, I like to use a wolf effect. Because the vocal is talking about the wolf, you know, that he keeps aside, so that's why I wanted to add that one. It seemed like a real funny trick. Yeah, so guys, that's about it. Hold on, let me flip my screen again. So here I am again. So yeah, this is how I made it, and like I said, I'm really happy with the response, and yeah, it's also cool to see that you guys like all the remixes. Hold on, let me answer some questions. Who does the mastering? Most of the times I do it myself. If not, there's a friend of mine who is pretty good in that too. So depending on how busy I am, he or me masters it. But I prefer to do the mastering myself, because in that way I'm sure that the track sounds as I want it to sound. So let's see, how did I wrap the acapella into 150 BPM? Time stretching. It ain't that hard though. Especially in FL, it's pretty easy to do. Just there are a lot of tutorials on YouTube for everything, so you should definitely check it out. All right, I'm gonna play the track in the background again, because there's a lot of people asking me to play it. Hold on. Let's see. How did I came up with my DJ name? Thing is, I started when I was 17, and back then, it was like a real hype, you know, to wear like these bright colored Adidas jackets and stuff. So yeah, that's why I used to wear funky clothing as it comes for colors. So that's why I chose that name, because I was wearing that all the time. The thing is, I wanted to add something, because funk on itself, it's cool, but it was missing something, and then I had to put something in front. I thought about Mr. Doctor, whatever, and yeah, Doctor it became. So, but in the end, it's just a name, you know, like of course, the name is important, but you can give yourself a really weird name, but as long as your music is good, it doesn't really matter. I mean, for me, it's all about the music. How did you find your unique hardstyle sound? Well, what I did was, first of all, I always create what I like, what I personally like. Obviously, the crowd needs to love the music, but I personally think that you have to be happy with what you put out, you know, as music. So, yeah, I just made my own thing, I guess, you know, and I checked other producers to see what they were doing, and I don't want to be like an exact copy of someone, so that's why, yeah, I decided to create my signature sound, as they call it. Let's see, my real name's Jordy. So, how do you get signed to Revealed Recordings? Yeah, like I said, I know Hartwell quite some time already now, and I was playing a festival last summer, which was in his hometown, Breda, and yeah, we met, we started talking about music, and then yeah, like I said, he asked me, well, he told me that he wanted a hardstyle remix of his tracks so he can close down his set with those tracks. Especially if, for example, if you take Run Wild, the original's really it's not really like a extreme big room track, you know, it's more like a vibey dancing track. So now he has the opportunity to close down his set with a hard version of his song, and that was what he wanted. And yeah, like I said, we talked, we laughed, and we had a few drinks. I was like, yeah, I'm the man to do it. And then he was like, yeah, sure. So he gave me the stems and just started working. And this is what came out, you know. Let's see, what age did I start producing? I was 17 when I started, I believe, yeah. I was like 15, 16 when I started going to parties. And I wanted to do it myself, so with my saving money, I bought my first computer. Shitty computer though, but hey, it worked. And I downloaded the FL demo. And a fun story, my first actual release is made in a demo version of FL. So yeah, it's quite funny because I couldn't save my project, you know. So I used to wake up at like 7 a.m. I turn on my computer, start making music like the entire day, and by the end of the day, when I wanted to quit, I couldn't save my project, so I had to like export it, you know, like into MP3 or WAV file, whatever. And yeah, that's actually how I got my first release signed. So my general workflow. I don't really have a general workflow. Most of the times it just depends, you know, like if I got a melody in my head, I start with a melody. If I have like if I want to start with a new kick or whatever, I just build the kick and start from there. If I have a cool vocal, then I start with the vocal, start building things around it. I don't really have like a special protocol of how I should do it. So yeah, if FL would crash, yeah, I lost my song, you know. I've been working a day for nothing. So once I got signed and started to do my first bookings and got my first money out of playing, I decided to buy like the original version, you know, and stuff. So who inspired me to become a DJ? That's a good one. Actually, a lot of them. Like I said, I grew up with hardstyle because it's really big here in Holland, and I think it's found in Holland too, in my opinion. I mean, as far as I know, I'm only 27, so I don't know like the entire history, but yeah. I don't really have like a one person specific, but I used to love Chesto's old trancey songs, like Flight 643, stuff like that. You know, that was really cool, and it was popular in my time. So when the question is about how much time it took me to create those remixes, it depends. I think the longest one was Apollo. But that's what I love about Fruity Loops, because I save a lot of my templates, you know. So if I have like a good channel strip, or I have like a good layout, like a template for my songs, I save everything. If I find a good sound, if I have a sound that I actually like that I made, I just save it. So in that way, it saves you a lot of time. So yeah, that's how I'm able to produce that fast, because a lot of people say, oh, you produce really fast, but it's because I did my homework, you know, my pre-work. So that's why I can work fast now. Let's see. Where would you see yourself with Headhunters? Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. Yeah, probably Headhunters is one of my biggest inspirations when it comes to hardstyle. In my opinion, he did a lot for the nowadays sound. So, let's see. Music education. I didn't have any education at all. It's all self-taught, you know. Like what I always say to people that are starting with making music, it's hard work. It's a lot of hard work, a lot of dedication. Sometimes you have to make sacrifices, because, you know, like, it takes a lot of time to find out how everything works, how you create cool sounds, how you use plugins and everything. So let's see. But yeah, in the end, to me, it's all about hard work and practice. Practice makes perfect. So let's see. Guys, I can't show you the track with Hartwell yet. Sorry, it's not completely finished yet though. But as soon as we can, you guys will hear it. How do I get my melody ideas? Most of the time, either they just pop up, or I just start jamming on the piano. Like I said, I prefer to start with chords and adding a top synth afterwards, instead of the other way around. Because when I make like a top lead, I have to adjust the chords to the top lead, and I rather like to make cool chords and have like a little bit more options when it comes to the top lead. So am I planning to stay with Revealed? That's a good question. I mean, for now I did the remixes, and perhaps, yeah, obviously the track with Hartwell that is coming. And besides that, I don't know yet. I mean, time will tell. So let's see how. It's time to. I see my time's up, so I'm gonna wrap up things and leave you guys. So yeah, I really enjoyed doing this. It actually is my first time that I'm doing this, you know, like as how I show my track thing. So sorry if I looked a little bit noobish, but it's just the first time, so I have to get used to stuff. But I really enjoyed everybody's good response, and like I said, if you want to keep following me, just look me up on my social media at Dr. Phunk Music on most platforms besides SoundCloud. SoundCloud is official Dr. Phunk, and yeah, I will continue creating music, and I will put them on my socials. So if you want to stay in touch or whatever, just like everything. And I want to thank Revealed for letting me live stream. And yeah, guys, it was really cool, and I hope to see you soon in the future. Take care, guys. Thanks.